Prince pushed people away all his life and then looked to God for answers.
Even for someone who made records that were thought to be immoral and beyond lusty and were responsible for the advent of the warning labels on records and so on and so on, this was a guy who, from the beginning of the time I knew him, had a very conservative moral streak underneath all of that.
Both angels and demons were crowding around Prince. The escape was always the music. Yet there would only be a handful more great public performances when Prince would rock the world. In 2004, he guested last minute at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
George Harrison is posthumously inducted. A couple of his bandmates from the Traveling Wilburys, Jeff Lynne and Tom Petty, starred While My Guitar Gently Weeps, his Beatles classic. And then, at around minute 3, in storms Prince, who's only there because he's being inducted. And he does this guitar solo in which he just takes the song to another level. Talk about stealing the show. I mean, he just doesn't get the spotlight on him. He just consumes the whole thing. And for this delicious, delirious minute 20 seconds, he owns the music world. It's one of the greatest solo performances ever, and he knows it, because at the end he throws his guitar up in the air, and he storms off stage as if to say, right, I've done what I came to do, beat that.
After that, Prince was seen less and less in public. He disappeared from view. There was little going on now at Paisley Park, just Prince alone, writing music and storing it away in a vault.
So you're living essentially false, except when you go musically. And that's why you start to get into a place where if I just stay in the music world, if I just stay in my music, in my thoughts, then I will be okay. It will save me.
It was just another way of putting up walls between him and everyone else. He was able to withdraw inside, oftentimes not being seen for long periods of time.
No one went back to the root and said, okay, here's how we fix that. It just never got done. If you start building walls, those walls inevitably have to become larger. And then suddenly you realize you're walled in. So you yourself can't get on the other side of that wall. Sure, you're keeping people outside. Sure, you're keeping control over them because you have a big wall. But you're suddenly now isolated behind that wall.
In January 2013, 54-year-old Prince came on stage during the Grammy Awards, his first big public appearance in 6 years. He walked with a stick due to severe hip pain caused by years of dancing.
And why would he have pain? Because he was 5'3" and wore heels for decades. And not only wore heels, but danced on heels. And I mean, even that physical act seems impossible to most of us. How can you even do that?
He pushed himself so hard physically when he was young that I can't imagine that he wasn't suffering some sort of bodily pain. From the speakers, I saw him jump off 30 feet, 20 feet. Every night, you know, just perfect 10s. And if they weren't, you'd never know it. So if he landed wrong and it hurt him, you'd never know it.
I can confirm he had surgery on his hips, and it's what happens when you jump for 40 years onto heels. That's what happens. It's a work-related injury.
Prince had a secret. His clean living days were over. As his health collapsed, he started taking a variety of powerful medications to deal with the crippling pain. He was becoming hooked on opioids. In his last interview with Rolling Stone, Prince deflected any questions about addiction.
Were you ever self-destructive?
Was I ever self-destructive? Do I look self-destructive?
Prince was ashamed at the end because he had such a reputation for clean living, which was really true. He was vegan. He was ashamed that he was a drug addict. He looked with disdain on those who really lost their careers via drugs.
I mean, that's the irony with his death, is that it was drug related, because there were no drugs going on when I was on that concert.
This is a very tough demon to overcome, and it doesn't make you a wild addict, or anything like that. You get on this treadmill of this stuff, and it's one of the leading killers today in the United States. It's just what it is.
Somebody says, I can fix your hip. So here, your hip, suddenly you feel better. You're able to perform. It still hurts the hip a couple days later. You take another one. And you're now taking 4 a day, 5 a day. Suddenly, everything else starts to break down. Mind, body, spirit starts to break down because of the heaviness of this narcotic. So then what happens? Now you need it because everything hurts. It hurts to breathe. It hurts to wake up. It hurts to go to sleep.